Hey guys, oh my gosh, it has been quite a while since I have gone on here and filmed a YouTube video, and I'm so sorry for that. At the end of December, I got really sick, and so I was out for a few days, but I have been posting pretty consistently over on my TikTok. So if you're not following me over there, I do a lot of fun lifestyle vlogs, I do book stuff. So if you like that kind of content, along with personal finance content, definitely check out my TikTok. I will put my TikTok username down below. I would love for you to give me a follow. And oh my gosh, speaking of follows, we almost have 400 followers. I am so excited about that. Thank you to everyone who is subscribed. My goal by the end of January, hopefully, is to get to 400 subscribers. If you're new here, hi, welcome on to my channel. My name is Brooke. I'm 29 years old. I am married and I live in North Carolina with my husband. And on my channel, I like to document my lifestyle and personal finance and all that good stuff. So today I'm going to be doing an annual net worth update. So I really like the Money Guy show. I've talked about them a lot. And what they do is an annual net worth update. So I want to do one with you all, and I want to show you what our net worth looked like at the end of 2024 and now what our net worth looks at the end of 2025 and see how much it has grown or not grown. Hopefully, it has grown in the past year. I think it is very fun to look at it month by month, but I also think it is super fun to zoom out and see the whole picture. So that is what we're going to be doing in this video. So if you see me looking that way, I'm looking at my screen. I will have all the numbers up for you all so you can see them and we can go through them together. But let's go over to my spreadsheet now. All right, before we get into these numbers, let's talk about how you calculate your net worth. Your net worth is basically just all of your assets. So your house, your car, your savings, your investments, minus any liability. So any debt that you have, credit card bills, your mortgage, any student loans, any car loans, that kind of stuff. So it's a really easy thing to track. It's just a number minus a number. So very easy math. And I created a spreadsheet to help me do this. It does the math for me. So let's go and look at December of 2024. So first of all, let's look at our house. So I do what the Money Guy says, and I choose to have the value of my house in my net worth statement as how much I actually paid for it when I bought the house in 2020. And this is so that I don't overinflate my net worth because you can't eat your house. I was watching Amanda Yang's 2025 update video. I really like her channel, so definitely go and check her out. I will put her link in the description box below, but she is super sweet. Her and her husband are around the same age as me and my husband, and they do their budgeting in Monarch. But I really liked, she was like talking about you can't eat your house because she doesn't include the value of her house in her net worth. And she made a joke that you could eat your house, but that would be kind of hard. And I'm like, I totally agree with that. You could, but it would take a while. For this, I do the Money Guy rule of just having my house value be the price that I paid for it. Hopefully, when we do go to sell, we are looking to move in the next year, that this would be more. Obviously, hopefully, we can sell it for more than we paid for, but I want to be really conservative with my net worth. Next up is a lot of our investments through our employers. So we have my husband's 401k at the end of December of last year. It was at 31,000. And then for mine, it was at 42,000. I have been working a full-time job for a couple of years longer than my husband because he went to grad school right after graduating. So he had a couple of years where he was in school and not contributing to a 401k, and I went straight to work. Then let's look at our Roth IRAs. So these are our Roth IRAs that we have outside of our employers, and we put the match in. And I think in 2024, the match was 7K. So we tried to max it out in 2024. And at the end of 2024, my Roth IRA was sitting at 29,000, and my husband's Roth IRA was sitting at 10,000. Again, we didn't start my husband's Roth IRA until we got married. So this is why his account is a little bit smaller than my account. And then I did have some other retirement accounts at this time. I had a SEP IRA and a rollover IRA. I know it's kind of confusing why I had both, but I was a 1099 employee for a little bit. I taught English classes to Chinese students online, and so I opened up a SEP IRA to start putting money into that. But then I just decided to put all of that money from the SEP IRA into my rollover IRA. And so this is what this number is. And that was at $6,000 at the end of last year. And then we have my husband's investing. He had a little bit of investments before we got married. And so right now that was sitting at zero. I think because we had moved over his money in the month of December to our joint investing, which is our next line item. And so our joint investing at the end of last year sat at $21,000. And really, during our first year of marriage, we weren't putting too much into our joint investing account. It wasn't really our main focus when we first got married. We were really trying to pay off my husband's student loan. So this number you will see has a really big jump from the end of 2024 to 2025 because we started putting more money into it. Next is our HSAs. So in the US, if you have a high deductible healthcare plan, which means that you have a deductible of like, I think $2,000 or more, then you can qualify for a health savings account, which is a triple tax advantaged account. I've talked about them a lot on my channel, but basically what they do is they allow you to set aside money for qualified medical expenses and you don't have to pay taxes on them. You can also invest your money inside of your HSA into the market, which is what we are doing because we are trying to cash flow all of our medical expenses right now, which are pretty low, and save that money. So then in the future, we can go and draw that money out tax free. So my HSA was sitting at $6,000. My husband's was sitting at $4,000. And both of our employers put in money into our HSAs for us. So that's why we both have individual ones instead of a family one, because my husband's employer covers his healthcare 100% and mine does not. And if we added him to my plan, even though it was a slightly better plan than his plan, it would have cost us quite a bit more for him to be added to my plan. And then finally, we have our savings account. And at the end of 2024, that was sitting at $20,000. This was basically just our sinking funds and a small emergency fund. And this number we've also brought up a lot within the last year because, again, we are working on moving. So our assets at the end of last year was $344,000, which is really great. Most of this number is made up of our home value, but we did have a good amount in our investing and savings account at the end of 2024. Now let's go over our debts. So our biggest debt is our mortgage, and our mortgage at the end of 2024 was $140,000. And then my husband's student loans, last in 2024 we paid off one of his student loans, so we still had 3 student loans left to go, and those were sitting at $27,000. And then finally, back in November of 2024 was when we bought my car, and we put down quite a bit of money into the car so that we had a very small loan. And so that loan at the end of December was sitting at $7,480. So in total, our debts at the end of 2024 totaled $176,000. And so when you take that number of the assets, 344,000, minus the debts of 176,000, that meant our true net worth was actually 168,000. So we were a little bit above 150K, which I think for a couple in their late 20s is very good. And I'm really grateful that our jobs have been very stable in the last couple of years, and we've still been able to hit our savings goal as well as investing regularly into our retirement accounts. Looking at this number, I think that the end of 2024, which was our first full year of marriage, we had a really great starting point for 2025. Now let's go over to my 2025 spreadsheet so we can see how much our net worth has changed in just 1 year. So let's go over our assets first. Again, our house I kept at 170, so we are being very conservative with this number. And then for my husband's 401k, that has gone up to $51,000, which is a big jump from last year. My 401k has gone up to $78,000, and the reason why this was such a big jump is because I had about $6,000 in my rollover IRA, and I went ahead and moved that into my employer's 401k so that I wouldn't have that rollover IRA anymore, because hopefully in the future, when we get to a point in our income where we make above the threshold for Roth IRAs, we will do what is known as a backdoor Roth IRA contribution. And in order to be able to do that, you cannot have a rollover IRA set up. So I'm trying to get that account down to 0 so that I can close that account out and then be ready and set up to do backdoor Roth IRAs once we get to that income threshold. My Roth IRA at the end of 2025 was sitting at $44,000. And that is really great because all of this money will be tax free when I go to pull it out. And you can start pulling money out of your Roth IRA starting at 59 and a half. And so I'm really looking forward to hopefully having this account grow to be over $1 million by the time I reach retirement age. My husband's Roth IRA has really grown as well. He is now at $20,000, almost $21,000. So I'm really proud of that, as his account has only been open for a couple of years now. Next is my rollover IRA. Again, I'm trying to close out this account. So right now it only has $3.75, and this is all in cash. I just need to call and have them put it over to my 401k. I've just been lazy and haven't done it yet, but that will take just one phone call and it should be good to go because it's all in cash. It is not invested anymore. Next is our joint brokerage, and that is now sitting at 38,000. So that was over $18,000 more than we had at the end of 2024, and I'm really proud of that number. In the past year, we've been able to set aside $10,000 into our joint brokerage on top of our other investing, and I'm not sure what we're going to be using this money for yet, but I really want to be aggressive with our saving at this time in our life when we have pretty low expenses, so that we can see compound interest really work for us. So this may be used for future house improvements. It could be used for a bridge account if we decide to retire early, all that good stuff. Not 100% sure, but I'm just buying into the market every month. And so seeing this grow to 38,000 in 1 year is really great. Next is my husband's work stock. It is sitting currently at about $138, and this is because we did sell some of that stock in order to make some payments this year, and that's totally fine. That was what we wanted to do as part of 2025. My word was generosity, and so we use that money to be very generous with our community. Next up is our HSAs. So my HSA went up to $12,000 and my husband's went up to $10,000. So these grow at a pretty small rate because there is a pretty small cap on how much money you can contribute to your HSAs. I think in 2025 that was like $4,200 for individual accounts, something like that. And then this year it went up by $100. So I think it's like at $4,300 for 2026. But you can always Google just like what the HSA contribution limits are for each year, and you can find those online pretty easily. So this is why these accounts just don't grow as fast as our other accounts, because of how much money you can put into them. And finally, our savings account. Our savings account was sitting at $45,000, almost $46,000 at the end of 2025. And that is a huge change from the end of 2024. And this was because we made a concerted effort to get our emergency fund up to 6 months of essential living expenses, which we were able to do in October. And so that's why this number is really big. We also were able to contribute quite a bit of money to our house fund, and that is going to help us as we really work towards our down payment for our new house. So with all of that added up, it means that our assets were sitting at $472,000 at the end of 2025, which is over $100,000 increase from last year. And in 1 year, growing that much is really amazing. The market has done fairly well this year after there was a small dip in the beginning of the year, but it's really came back pretty well. And I'm really happy with this. Again, some of this is our house value, but it's a lot smaller piece of the pie now that we have put in quite a bit more into our investing and saving account. Now let's look at our debts. Our mortgage did not go down a lot. It's now at $134,000. So our mortgage has a very low interest rate of 2.99. And so I'm not paying any extra towards our mortgage. We also have a 20-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage. So we're already paying it off at a faster clip than a traditional 30-year mortgage. Next up is my husband's student loans, and this is sitting at $21,000. This did not go down as much as I originally anticipated it to, and that's because we switched our priorities to putting more money into savings rather than paying off debt. And so that is why this number only went down by about $6,000, but I'm totally okay with that. These are pretty low interest rate as well. They're less than 5%. So I'm not 100% trying to pay those off as fast as I originally was because we have other goals in mind. And then finally, my car loan, which this is the most exciting one that I was very happy to accomplish in 2025. I paid off my car loan. I know it wasn't a very big car loan compared to other people's car loans, but had never had a car loan before. My last few cars were cars that my parents thankfully provided for me and they paid in cash for those. So I had never had a car loan before and I didn't want to sit on this car loan for very long. I did do the 23/8 method from the Money Guy show, but even 3 years of having a car payment was really annoying to me. So I wanted to pay it off within 1 year, and I did that. So I'm super excited that I don't have a car loan anymore. And now I own my car outright. And so that brought our total debts at the end of the year to $155,000. So not big of a difference there. But again, we are not paying our mortgage off any faster than we need to. But our net worth was $316,000 at the end of 2025, which is so exciting because that means that our net worth in 1 year increased 88%. When I calculated that number, I was flabbergasted. 88% in 1 year is amazing because what they say is that if the markets are doing well, you should expect your money to double in 7 years. And so getting an 88% growth rate in our net worth in only 1 year is really fantastic. And a lot of this, again, is up to the market. I don't control the market. I will never be able to control the market. So all I do is just follow the rule of always be buying, always putting in to my 401k, getting my full employer match, my husband getting his full employer match, maxing out our Roth IRAs, and just setting aside as much money into investing as we can while we have this low expense time in our life. Because in the future, our expenses will probably be much higher. When we move to our new house, our mortgage will not be $1,000. It will probably be like $3,000, and our utilities and everything else like that will also go up. So I'm just taking in this time right now to really be grateful and really use up this opportunity that I have so that my net worth can grow as fast as it can during my 20s. And that will really set us up for compounding interest to really work its magic. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I am really excited to get back into my YouTube groove. I am going to be posting every Friday, hopefully for the next month, and it's going to be a finance Friday. So all of my Friday videos are going to be about personal finance. So if you have anything that you want me to talk about, any topics that you would like for me to explore, please add those in the comments. I always love reading your comments and taking those into account as I make new videos. And again, my goal is to reach 400 followers by the end of January. So if you know of anybody who would like my channel, please, please, please share it with them. I would be so grateful. And as always, thank you so much, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.